Before we kind of dive in, I just want to give you an overview of the interface and show you some features of Acumatica that are built into the core system. So the first thing you'll probably notice is I am using Google Chrome. That's because Acumatica is a browser-based system. So whether your favorite browsers, Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Acumatica will work on all browsers. And that's whether you're deployed in the cloud or on-premise. So you're getting that single source of truth no matter your deployment method. The next thing I'll talk about is just going up to the upper right-hand corner of my screen. I want to point out that I am logged in as the admin user today. That's going to let me show you all around the system. However, Acumatica is a user and role-based security system, which means you only see things that pertain to your business role, and security can go down to the row level. If I move to the left on my gray bar at the top of my screen, you're going to see revision to products, my company name. Acumatica is a multi-company and multi-currency system if you need that functionality. And we'll move to the left one more time to look at my search bar. So this is Acumatica's universal search, and it's very much like a Google search directly for your ERP and all of your company's business data. So you can do things like look up where menu items are in the system. So today we're going to be looking at things like sales orders. And if I just start typing that in, Acumatica is performing a search in real time with natural language, and we see that sales order menu appear. What that does is it lets you start using the system the very first day and go in to find screens very quickly. But it's not just screens, it is a true universal search, like I said. So I have a purchase order sitting on my desk, and if I just type in that purchase order number, Acumatica will pull up the purchase order and give me a little bit of information. Of course, if I were to click on this, just like Google again, it will bring me directly to that purchase order. The great thing is Acumatica Universal Search continues to work with things like help topics written by documentation specialists. So here I'm pulling up our help topics for 1099s, as well as Acumatica's built-in file repository. So if I jump over to my Files tab and I search for something like a vendor contract, Acumatica will find anything that matches in our file repository, which is also version controlled as well. So you can see if things are still active and what's the latest version of that document. On the very left-hand side of my screen, we have menu categories that are broken up into business unit. So again, based on that user security, user role, you'll see more or less of these menu items as well as what's inside. In the core center of our screen, we see one of Acumatica's dashboards. And Acumatica's dashboards are great because they run 10 to 15 reports and give you that key piece of information you need for your role. The dashboards are user specific and they can be tailored to you with what we call a low code, no code solution. So if I click on the design button in the upper right hand corner of my screen, I'm able to add widgets. Those widgets can include things like charts, embedded pages, pivot tables, kind of you name it. The data is tailored to you. All of Acumatica's reports are also drillable. And before we get into that, I will point out a few things that are on this homepage for my user today, including some acquisitions and disposals this week. That's coming from our FastBound integration we're going to see in just a little bit, as well as our e-commerce sales this week. We also have EDI sales. So our e-commerce sales are coming from BigCommerce. We also support other e-commerce systems as well. So you're also seeing that merged with the financial side of the system. We're seeing our cash on hand, our open AR. So now we'll drill down into our sales this week, and I'll show you one of a screen you'll see often in Acumatica, which is called a generic inquiry. And a generic inquiry is this grid style screen. It's very much formatted similar to Excel. That's absolutely by design. Again, it just helps you get up and moving and using the system very quickly. We do add a couple of features that you do not see in Excel, so you can very quickly rearrange columns just by clicking and dragging. We can sort and filter very easily. And then we have what we call shared views. So you see tabs at the top of this inquiry, like all records, today's sales orders. And these views can be for your individual person or shared amongst your company or business group. So very quickly, we'll create one of these views and we'll look at all of our sales orders over $20,000. Acumatica will filter down, and then we can save that view, and we'll give it a name that's very easy to understand, 20,000 plus sales orders. And we can choose whether we're going to share that with the rest of our team or keep it just for ourselves. If I click OK, that appears directly at the top of my screen. I can always get back to that. So that's just a quick overview of Acumatica. What we're going to do next is move into our BigCommerce integration. It is going to be bi-directional, so we're sending and receiving information with BigCommerce. And we have a store set up here. Of course, the store is going to be tailored to you. So we'll look at this item, and we're going to add the 270 bolt action rifle to our cart and go ahead and check out. In our checkout process, we're going to use a shipping address of Spring Guns and put in their FFL number. And then set our billing address. We're actually going to bill this directly to the customer. So we have separate shipping and billing addresses. Finally, we'll pay. Now, please, no one write down my card number during this section. And we'll place our order. At this time, BigCommerce is going to send out those confirmation emails and provide any tracking information that can come from Acumatica or BigCommerce, again, because of that bi-directional data sync. Now we'll move right back into Acumatica and look at our page. And we can refresh our dashboard here. And you saw our e-commerce number go up to 17. Again, we can use that drill down capability to go directly into our e-commerce sales. And we're seeing that BigCommerce order 112 carried directly over. Let's go into that order and look at some of the information we carried over. That's going to be things like the shipping details. Again, we're shipping to Spring Guns. The billing details, we're billing to myself, Robert. And then we decided to map the FFL number to our notes section, but that could be mapped to anywhere in the system that fits your needs. Everyone wants this in a little bit of a different place. So again, all your information is carried between systems seamlessly. So now let's go look at the item we actually ordered from BigCommerce. And that's going to be in the stock items section of Acumatica. And we do have some firearm specific fields in ASWi's addition into the Acumatica system. So our firearm specific fields are in this section, and they include things like manufacturer, caliber, and item number, as well as others. All of this information can be carried out to BigCommerce, as well as out to FastBound during our acquisition and disposal processes. For our retailers and distributors on the call, we have replenishment information that can keep service levels based on rolling demand. And for our manufacturers on the call, Acumatica does have a full manufacturing suite that handles things like bills of material and routing, as well as a full MRP system. We'll move forward and we're actually going to show a purchase receipt I've created a purchase order in advance in the spirit of time, and we're going to receive on that purchase order so we can see the acquisition go directly into FastBound. And again, I can use universal search to get to my purchase order. Directly on the purchase order screen, I can enter a receipt. And Acumatica will let us scan or enter the serial number of the item we're receiving. So in this case, we'll just type webinar 1. I can go ahead and save and release that purchase receipt. And that's going to be an acquisition inside of FastBound. So let's move over to the FastBound system and go look at that. And this is our ASWi test account inside of FastBound. And if I look at our items acquired in the last 30 days, I'll sort by item number, and we see webinar 01 was carried over directly into FastBound with no interaction required. What we saw on the stock item is also being carried over. So we're seeing that manufacturer, the type, the caliber, just like we saw in Acumatica. So let's jump back over to Acumatica. And one of our webinar highlights was the ability of actually importing a receipt into Acumatica in order to reduce the likelihood of mistyping those serial numbers. So I'll jump into the receipts screen. And we'll actually use our upload records from file button, which will let us pull in data from an Excel sheet or a CSV file. Acumatica will ask us if we just want to update our existing records or if we want to insert all records from the Excel file. And it will automatically map the columns from Excel into Acumatica seamlessly. When I press OK, the entire list will be transferred over. So you're seeing those serial numbers come in, the items come in, and that's a quick and easy way to reduce data entry errors. So let's go ahead and fulfill a sales order, and that's going to let us see the disposal process through the FastBound side, just as we created the receipt for the acquisition. Again, I'll use universal search to get to my sales orders. And in the effort of time, I have pre-built the sales order out for us, just as I did with the purchase order. So that sales order is for the rifle we've been working with through this whole presentation. And I can go up to the top of my screen to create that shipment. It's going to ask me when I want to ship it and where I want to ship it from. And then it's going to let us know that we need to assign a serial number of what's going in the box. So again, this can be scanned even from a mobile device, but we're going to actually dispose of that webinar 1 that we've created together. And I'll just go ahead and confirm that this shipment has made it out of the building and out the door. And what we're going to do is switch over to FastBound and see how that's going to keep us in compliance at all times. We're going to see that disposal directly into FastBound. I'll return to my dashboard. And again, items disposed in last 30 days. And there's that webinar 01. So all the information is carried directly over. So on the bottom section here, we're seeing the deposition type of sale and all the information carried along with it. And that concludes our high-level overview of how Acumatica can work in the firearms industry.